January 10th, 2013, the teaser trailer for Cyberpunk 2077 dropped. After being announced in 2012, this was the first look we got to the game. Granted, it was an all CG trailer with not a single piece of gameplay to be found, but what it did was establish what the devs at CD Projekt Red were striving for this game to be. Years upon years upon years passed with barely any news on the upcoming game. Gaming outlets would occasionally break the news about how this game was shaping up to be the holy grail of video games. The video game that would destroy all games. The video game that would reinvent what it meant to be a video game. The devs supported this notion and fans were excited to see what was brewing. They were hungry for literally anything we could get out of this project. Any drop of news would satisfy the most crazed of fans, and fans got their prayers answered during E3 2018. A fully pre-rendered cinematic. This was the reassurance everyone needed for them to know that their most anticipated game was moving along in development. Hype grew and people wanted Cyberpunk 2077 and wanted it as soon as possible. But CD Projekt Red continued to say it will come when it's ready. Words that would not age well. A year passed where we got more and more news on the upcoming game. Anticipation continued to grow and it truly felt like we were getting really close to finally experiencing Night City. E3 2019 comes and not only do we get a closer look at the game, but we also get first ever release date. April 16th, 2020 was the day that everyone rejoiced. That would be the day that video games would ascend to Valhalla. Cyberpunk 2077 would reinvent what it meant to be a video game. This transcending piece of media would shake the world and cause a global. September 17th, 2020 was the day that everyone rejoiced. That would be the day that video games would ascend to Valhalla as Cyberpunk 2077 would reinvent what it meant to be a video game. This transcending piece of media would shake the world and cause global. November 19th, 2020 was the day that everyone rejoiced. That would be the day that video games would ascend to Valhalla as Cyberpunk 2077 would reinvent what it meant to be a video game. This transcending piece of media would shake the world and cause global. Okay, one last time. December 10th, 2020 was the day that everyone rejoiced. That would be the day that video games would ascend to Valhalla as Cyberpunk 2077 would reinvent what it meant to be a video game. This transcending piece of media would shake the world and cause global awakening and alas, cleanse humanity of its sins. As December 10th neared, reviews for the game started coming out along with the first wave of controversy surrounding the game. Reviewers were allowed to play the game on their platform of choice, but all B-roll must be from CDPR themselves. Any review with gameplay not authorized by CDPR was taken down. This decision seemed a bit weird, but wasn't the weirdest part about this game considering it was in development for almost a decade, and the worst was yet to come. Reviews for this game sat pretty high with a handful of mixed reviews, but an overwhelming amount of positivity surrounding the game. The reception was the last bit of hope fans needed. CDPR, the God Cinema Studio, making games for the gamers, have finally released a highly anticipated Cyberpunk 2077, the moment we've all been waiting for. This is Cyberpunk 2077. Nearly 10 years of development, numerous delays, huge dev team, financial backing, and this was a $60 product at launch. Dreams crushed, promises broken, yet people hated The Last of Us Part 2 because Daddy Joe got a golf club to the face. Give me a break. At least one of them came out finished. Cyberpunk 2077 was practically unplayable on the PS4 and Xbox One with slightly better performance on the PS4 Pro and Xbox One X, but even then, when game-breaking glitches are occurring and frames are dropping to the single digits, the game at this point feels like a scam. The PS5 and Xbox Series console saw better performance, but considering it was a backwards compatible version of the game, the performance was capped. PC held up better than the console versions, but even then, enthusiasts saw many flaws in Night City on the rigs that cost well over $1,000. It came to a point where the best place to play the game was Google Stadia. As long as you had a solid Wi-Fi connection, Stadia was a definitive way to experience Cyberpunk 2077. Aside from the terrible performance, there was enough cut content from the game that if it were all put together, it could very well be its own game. From dual wielding to car customization, the metro system, wall running, apartment customization, and more. This game was a shell of what it was promised to be. At least it kept genital customization though. The story and gameplay was nothing to write home about either. Many characters felt bland and the NPCs didn't have any life to them. The story was interesting, but after playing all the way through all 5 of the main endings, nothing really stuck with me, like games such as The Last of Us, God of War, Red Dead Redemption 2, or even Knack. The story was very well just a one-time play for me, and I do not see myself revisiting because of how much I loved it. Gameplay felt very easy. At times it felt like a light rail shooter, but I think that was largely because of the bugginess on the PS4 Pro. Going throughout Night City was worse than walking on a flat Minecraft world. Well, it wasn't that rough. The thing is, Night City was promised to be the sprawling vertical megacity with many activities to do and many people to meet. What did we get in the final product? Brain-dead NPCs in a visually striking but lifeless world. At its core, Cyberpunk 2077 was nowhere close to what the devs or fans hyped it up to be. It was a generic RPG, with a generic story, with thousands of bugs, and lies surrounding this project. It was a colossal failure driven by the wrong reasons. CDPR had a hit on their hands with The Witcher 3. They felt because they did such a great job with that game that they were on top of the world. They thought they could make anything and everyone will love it because they made The Witcher 3. Well, that's not how it works. Consistency in this industry matters a lot. Making one amazing game out of 8 games doesn't mean you're worthy in the industry. People put too much faith into the studio just because they made one amazing game. For those who say Cyberpunk 2077 is a great game, I genuinely cannot grasp why you believe that. At first I thought maybe my standards for a quality $60 product was too high. But looking back at it, I realized that I'm in the right in this scenario. The day I buy a game for $60 and it is borderline unplayable on the platform it was advertised for, and I say, well, that was a good experience, is the day that I no longer have any self-respect. Cyberpunk 2077 is a game full of hopes and dreams, but at the same time lies and failed promises. As of December 10, 2020, the term coming when it's ready will mean nothing if we as consumers continue to buy and support games that have clearly taken more from us than just $60. Here on Pop Culture Today, we are going to be giving Cyberpunk 2077 a 4 out of 10. Granted, we play on the PS4 Pro version, but I'm not going to make any accommodations. This is how the game launched, this is how I played it, this is how I experienced it, and this is my review. I appreciate all you guys for coming out and checking out the video. As always, have a wonderful day. Take care.